Nailed it.
Absolutely nailed it.
Alrighty. This is Graham taking a photo of a camera taking a photo. That's called something, isn't it?
I don't know. I'm on watch it back. Just to check. I like this could all just be a big joke.
It could be a bit of
actually happening. We made this
it doesn't exist really, it's not unusual.
Are you on camera?
Yeah, we're on camera.
So
Please chip in at a moment's notice. Who said that? There's only 3 of us here. Alright, welcome to the Maleny Brew Crew online. This is the first time we've ever done this. It's a bit weird really. It's a bit odd. But I've got 2 special guests with me. Well,
they're guests.
Yeah, one very special guest. He's very special. And that is Davey Stabler of Copperhead Brewing.
That's me.
Let's say hello, it's all good.
Hi guys. Miss you already.
Yes, we actually do miss you already. I much prefer talking face to face. And of course, the man who actually is the sort of founding member of the Brew Crew, it was you and I that put it together.
Yeah,
so, Mr. Graham Reeks.
Hello.
Hello, yes.
We've been sitting here waiting for 3 months.
Yeah, it has been a long time. Yeah, I must admit.
Time we had a beer.
Yeah, I think it is time we had a beer. Also, just to give you a heads up, we pre-planned this, and just to make it feel like Brew Crew for us, we have Jen's Woodfires pizzas. So, yeah, we'll be eating whilst drinking. Just naturally what we do.
He says we pre-planned this. I think Andrew pre-planned this. I have no idea. It's brilliant.
Right, yeah, all the people that have actually got the packs of beer from us, we are going to start off with Nomad's Trooper. This is a collaboration between, I think it's Robinson's Brewery, isn't it?
In the UK?
In the UK.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, Robinson's Brewery in the UK and Nomad Brewery down in Sydney. Using, I believe Bruce Dickinson did have a hand in this. I am unsure how much of a hand, but this is
Not the fingernail.
No, this is the first release they did. They are releasing another one of these because it was so popular, and we decided that we'd have a look at it at Brew Crew. I know you had a big night last night. I'll leave you plenty for the cherry sour.
Thanks, mate.
There you go.
Love that cherry.
You probably already know what it looks like, but just in case you've chosen the wrong one, that's the one.
If you've chosen the wrong one, you're an idiot.
Yes.
XPA. There you go.
Yes, it is an XPA, unlike the British ESB that I think it normally is.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
It's changed from its normal guise of like an ESB best bitter style to a cheeky XPA, an Australian XPA. 4.5%.
So I'll ask a question. What is an Australian XPA?
They're probably just using Australian hops, honestly.
Okay.
XPA is essentially the same, technically the same as an ESB. It's basically, you can interpret them a few different ways. You can either have more hops, more malt, higher alcohol. It's usually just something extra. Traditionally, ESB in England is more malty.
And not as pale either. You wouldn't generally get such a pale. But then maybe that's because this one's extra pale.
This is extra pale. There we go.
I've actually had, when I tried Modus Operandi's XPA when it first came out, and I said, what was it about? And he said it was extra hopped. And I went, okay, that must be what XPA is. And then I had several other XPAs, and they're like, oh no, extra pale. And that just means clarification, like it's been filtered and...
Oh, well, I mean, this is not a good example of super filtered, is it? If that's the
Do
case.
the finger test, Graham.
What's the finger test?
Finger test, whether or not you can see your fingerprint through the glass, through the other side of the glass.
Can't.
On this one, I can't even see my finger.
Yeah, no, it's pretty dope.
Yeah, but that's okay. We're into the hazier beers now. It's taking a bit of getting used to for some of us.
So I'll ask you, Dave. You've done some judging for beer and stuff like that. How do you adjudicate a good beer?
How do I adjudicate a good beer? I'm looking for style guidelines. Basically, is that if I'm actually judging a competition, going by the style guidelines. So whether this fits in with what you would class as an XPA. I don't think there is actually an XPA category as such yet. It's still just the pale ales. So style guides for a pale ale, I can't even remember exactly what they are. I usually have them in front of me when I judge. I'm not like you, Andrew, with your wine knowledge and skills. But yeah, so I think it's currently what I think it's meeting criteria pretty well so far. It's got a nice little hoppy character. Tastes a little bit boozier than your standard pale ale, probably just slightly. I'd say, what is it?
34.5.
No, yeah, 4.5.
Yeah, it's a it's an everyday heavy, I guess, in Australian terms.
Yeah, actually, that's the funny part for me is I get lots of customers coming in now. Look, I'm after a mid-strength beer. Is this 4.5% alcohol mid-strength beer?
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's actually what Australia terms is full strength.
Andrew, I know what your session beers are. Like 10%. Andrew was like, this is a good session beer. I think it's not all day.
It's a good
But,
session.
the comment that you made on the style guidelines is quite interesting because I'm sure you've heard stories of brewers who've put into a homebrewing from a homebrewing perspective into a competition a beer that fits under one category, but people drink it and they go, oh, you know what, that might go really well in the porter category, and they stick it in as a porter and it ends up doing really well even though they brewed it to be something different. So the style categories versus what a brewery decides they want to put. XPA is a thing at the moment, and everyone knows it. In 4 years' time, that very same beer could have a different label on it because the new thing that we're calling this particular beer is something else, or Pacific Pale Ale.
I think the biggest example of that recently has been Black Hops, their Hornet IPA. I believe they put it into competition as a strong ale,
Right.
and it won.
Awesome.
Even though it says, and even won the packaging too, which quite clearly says IPA on the packaging.
Yeah.
But I thought that was quite funny.
Well, I've actually ordered in a Belgian strong ale. It's 11%. It's supposed to be coming up. I'm so looking forward to that. That's my session beer.
Next brewery.
Yeah, next brewery. That sounds great.
The other one was Hop Hog. Feral Hop Hog used to be. It was originally an IPA, and now it's just called Pale Ale.
Well, there you go.
Because,
is it really?
Yeah. Because IPAs have gone a little bit higher, a bit stronger, and there are double IPAs that are weaker than other breweries' IPAs, and it's like, oh, hang on. Anyway.
That's what I always have this thing about. I think they cross over the lines too much with the alcohol percentage. Doubles should be 8 and up. That's sort of me. That's sort of my style.
I think there's some logic to that.
Yeah. I was going to say, if you could tell the Australian tax department, that would be fantastic. Because once they actually organise the excise levels, then life becomes so much easier for everybody.
Pretty nice. I do like that.
Yeah. So, and just at the end of that though, actually, so is this hazy enough to be a hazy or not?
Can you see through it?
Surprisingly, just.
Almost.
Well, then it's hazy enough to be a hazy.
Depends how much there is. Like if you put it on the side like that and look through it, you'll probably spill it.
Yeah.
and then you'll definitely not see through it.
I actually quite enjoyed that. I'll have another one of them. I wish we could.
We can only do that for another 8 times.
Well, another 8 times.
Yes. What's our afternoon? Do you want to go in and grab the next one?
Oh, into the magic box.
Into the magic box. It'll be the black hops.
The black hops.
Black hops, yep.
North or south?
North or south, you choose.
Can I suggest I've tried these before? And I'm going to suggest south first.
I knew you would.
South is the New Zealand Australian hops, I believe. Yeah.
Might want to
There should
give
be
me
a
a
second
little
one in
bit of
there too.
background to this.
There's another one in there as well.
Oh, right. Oh, I see. I understand.
Because I've been looking forward to this beer. And it got me out of sanding windows today.
Have you tried mixing the two together?
What?
Have you tried mixing the two together to get
To get a central?
an equatorial IPA?
I haven't. I was going to do that actually, but I gave my other 2 away.
Waiting for you. That's it. So black hops, and this is just from a purely retail and my own personal beer drinking that I enjoy. Honestly, black hops for me has been one of the finds of the last couple of years for me.
Absolutely.
I really have. Like they haven't. Okay, they haven't. Not every beer is perfect, but geez, it's bloody good. Like, I will admit, I'm not a fan of Pink Mist, but that's probably more of a stylistic thing than anything else. But everything else they do, nailed.
Yeah,
It really is.
I drank they did a watermelon margarita goza,
Oh, that was it, yeah.
which I had last night, which was delightful.
Yes.
I like that.
Okay, so this is the latest seasonal release. I only managed to obtain 5 cases of it, and I think I have a case left. Most of it was sold through Brew.
Great. So they've done 2 special releases: a South Coast IPA and a North Coast IPA, and this is the South Coast. This is using Australian and Kiwi hops. It's interesting. I was getting that paw mango aroma. Definitely got something almost like a kiwi fruit taste to it as well. And I'm not saying that because of that, but it's kiwi. But
You are. It's a mental thing, bro.
What's that?
That's like so blanc.
Yeah, that's that flavour. Well, yeah, the Nelson Sauvin hop though does have a bit of a
It does have a winey character.
thing to
Yeah,
it, doesn't it?
I love it.
Yeah.
Great.
I remember there used to be
size.
real shortages of that back when, like 10 years ago, when it was first sort of being used in Melbourne, and all the craft beers were there. It was like gold dust, and all the brewers were trying to get hold of it, but they didn't have enough growing at that time. I suspect it's a bit different.
Which is really weird.
It is
I've
not
tried.
different now.
Oh, yeah, no.
It is still the same. You try and get a hold of it, it's a pain.
Okay, so that is an intentional thing, do you reckon? Keeping in the market.
Could be, I guess, but I don't know. I don't know how those crazy business people work.
You being a brewer, you really should.
That I just order it.
Sorry, boss. I don't know why my hops are so built.
Honestly, when I brew it, I like the challenge of finding a cheap hop that nobody uses because I can get it
Yeah, make it
all year round and nobody else uses it.
Yeah.
And
Consistent.
yeah, you keep it good. I like that.
Have you ever used black hops? Doesn't sound like a good idea.
in a sour.
Maybe they've been frozen too long or something. Oh, they're pale, aren't they?
No. Keep them frozen. It's good. That's how you want them.
So IPA is interesting. This doesn't taste more than about 5.5 to me.
No, it tastes really quite.
I can just see my finger.
Would you call that a hazy?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Is it a hazy?
It's 6.8.
Is it hazy? 6.8.
It's delightful. I'm not saying.
I mean, that's pretty well masked, isn't it?
That's really good, yeah.
There's no really warming flavour to it at all.
No.
There's no overt methanol sort of taste. It's fruity, very fruity.
It does actually say it's a well hidden 6.8.
So what other
Do you
classifications?
reckon they wrote that description before or after taste?
I think they just heard me on Facebook and were like, you know what? It really hides that 6.8.
So what are the classic Australian sort of hops and New Zealand hops? Like I've heard so many different hop names, and
Well,
they seem to be more appearing all the time.
there's always heaps that coming out. The big Australian ones are obviously your Galaxy. Big Secret's a good one at the moment.
Which one's that?
Big Secret. It is an absolutely delightful hop. When I use it, I get a heap of pineapple sort of from it.
Who was it? Was it Stone and Wood who was first using that?
Galaxy.
No, not in the Pacific. It was another one. Oh, that was Ella, wasn't it?
Ella,
That they were using, yeah.
Ella, formerly known as Stella.
Yes.
There you go.
Ringwood.
It's still a good
You
upset.
didn't mention Ringwood.
Pride of Ringwood.
Pride of Ringwood.
Pride of
That's
Ringwood.
the classic Aussie hop.
Yeah, that is.
Pre-Galaxy.
If you want to brew anything at home that's like a traditional Australian bitter 4XVB, anything, just Pride of Ringwood. Don't use anything else. And put in about this much. Oh, sorry, that's too much. Brew. Put about that much.
I was going to say that. I was going to say something really bad then, but this is live and it goes out to the world. That might not.
Oh, you can do that. I'm okay with that.
No.
What? Andrew's that? Oh, sorry, I mean.
Yeah. You're so mean.
I'm not.
Sniff, sniff.
But I heard that some...
I'm definitely not that at the moment. I'm like that at the moment.
yeah, maybe. Tell us more.
Tell us more.
So, is
I
it
had
true,
a
David?
vasectomy and it's now swollen down there. And these pants are way too tight. So.
Wow, I wasn't expecting that.
I've got to get it out there.
Is it true? I mean, I heard that Budweiser now were putting small amounts of hydroxychloroquine in their beer to help inoculate people against. No, is that not true? No?
I don't know.
No?
I don't drink Budweiser. I don't really follow
Budweiser,
Budweiser.
yeah. Oh, I thought you could use. Oh no, hang on, I got mixed up. It's that there's hydroxychloroquine in fish tank cleaner, and you can use Budweiser as fish tank cleaner. That was it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'd love to see you
Similar
fish.
Yeah. But that's pleasant, isn't it?
That is really good.
Pleasant. I'd drink that.
You are.
What do you lot think?
Not very tall.
Well, Pat says,
What do you say, Pat?
nice social
Nice
distancing,
social
fellas.
distancing, fellas. Yeah, we're using a fisheye lens.
Yeah, it is. So
Yeah,
he's
it's
actually,
actually-
look, let me reach over and touch him. See, it's not getting there at all. See, I can't get it.
Maybe use someone smaller with shorter arms. See,
Okay.
I can't reach.
Also explains why David's head looks slightly odd.
No, that doesn't explain that. That's just like natural.
okay. The distortion on the head.
Yes, yeah.
And Andrew's actually sitting about 3 metres behind us.
I am, as you can probably tell from the writing behind me.
It's kind of like one of those rear view mirrors that like objects may appear closer than they appear.
That's right, yes. And who's it? Paul Jones, I think, says, hi, Davey Stabler.
Bye! Miss you, Paul.
I was going to say, I hope that's not your boss.
No, it's not.
Okay.
No.
Although, please feel free to give a plug out for your brewery.
Oh, Copperhead Brewery. Yeah, it goes good.
Were you a brewer?
Yeah.
No way! That's awesome. I wonder why you. That's great.
Soon, Copperhead, we're just getting taps set up for it, but we're going to have some fantastic whiskey barrel-aged beers on tap very soon, one of which we may be trying later. Suck it in, you guys.
Yeah. Well, we might have to do a travelling brew crew at some point then.
Travelling brew crew all the way to
Corona. Oh, really? Where are you? Pomona or Croy?
Croy.
I'm sorry, man. I don't know the coast. If it's off the hill, I don't care.
No, fair enough.
Yeah. As is, I struggle to get to Brisbane.
I was travelling to Brisbane when there was the restrictions I didn't know about.
Yeah, I got pulled over for that.
Did you?
Yeah, I was coming back from one of the winery, not wineries, one of the restaurants that I know the owner, and he asked me to come down and do a so how to make it through this crisis at the moment. So I came down to have a look at his setup, and it's down in Brisbane. And on the way back up, I got pulled over by the police and said, "Where are we going?" I said, "I was just at work." I said, "Where do you work?" And I said, I'm a consultant just down there doing this. And he just, "No, well, you don't have to be there. You don't want." And I'm like, "Oh, but I have to see the joint to give him the business plan that he needs to go through it." And he began to look at writing a ticket out for me. And the guy behind him came out, and it was the sergeant came up behind him and went, which restaurant?" And I told him, and he's like, "Oh no, it's not far from my place." "Oh good, are they doing that, are they?" I said, "Yeah, they're doing takeaway, and they're going to be doing some delivery service." And he goes, "Oh, delivery service, fantastic. No, you go on, mate, it's fine." So I was just like, "Oh, that was lucky."
Skip that one.
Yeah, not something you want to do twice.
What's David Sanderson trying to say? Not a bad drop.
Is that for the? Oh, that's for the.
We tuned out when David starts talking about the size of this.
Oh yeah, I can read it now.
I need a bigger screen.
A bigger screen.
Yeah.
Well,
Is there anything you need?
No. My wife's happy with what I got. That's great. So, okay, that's the southern one. That's the
that's the South Coast.
South Coast. And that's a good New Zealand hops in it as well, we said.
Yeah, so I'm not too sure they are. Most big ones over there at the moment, Rawaka, Nelson's of in. Motueka, they're the big ones that everyone raves on about.
So what did we do in the Northern Hemisphere?
What are the...
American hops.
Oh, okay, rightio.
American hops.
So that's
German ones.
Eldorado, what?
American IPA. We're going to have some C's.
Probably. Citra, Centennial, Chinook.
Citra, Simcoe, Mosaic, and Idaho 7.
Oh, so yeah, in my IPA that I make is like literally that except for Idaho 7, which is also a fantastic hop.
So what do all these hops give differently?
Flavours, mate. Different flavours, yeah.
So different flavours, but
aromas,
I mean,
yeah.
that's aromas and flavours. So how do you determine that? Is there a place you can go to have a look?
You just have a look at them. You can have a look at them, but not much else you can do about it. You just have to brew with them and try them. There's loads of information on the web if you are home brewing and just getting started out and wanting to know what the flavours and aromas are. But the best thing to do is just brew and
You
you'll
have a
find
bit
out.
more this one because I've got to drive.
So do I.
Touching you. Yeah, well, as far as me. And Davey doesn't, and he needs some anaesthetic. Or analgesic.
How's that for social distancing?
Yeah. So this is a beautiful colour. This is, to me, is the colour beer should be. I reckon.
This is a colour like that's
warming, isn't it?
like and like IPA especially. I want that slightly darker
Yeah.
colour. I love that.
Look, that's actually the colour of the IPA that I make at home. I'm not suggesting it's going to taste as nice as this, but it's actually about the same strength. So.
I was going to say it wouldn't be red enough for you if it was a red ale, though.
No. The red ale should be red.
We had some red ales that are dark brown, and you're like, that's almost a stout. So this to me has got a much firmer bitterness to it. It's a little less.
I like an IPA. I like having that bitterness there.
Yeah.
I was going to say the first one was a lot fruitier, like a lot more tropical fruits, I should say.
This to me is like more my IPA sort of thing. I like those more dank, pinier, citrusy sort of hops in an IPA.
I'm struggling. I like that when there's a little bit more crystal in there, a little bit more sweetness to give it a bit of caramel to go with it, because otherwise sometimes I can find that pininess almost nauseating. Just like almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I hate putting crystal in IPAs. It's like
So what is crystal quickly?
Crystal malt, crystal caramel malt.
Yeah.
I love it. So you like a drier.
No, I like it. I do like a dry finish in IPA, but I also, if I want something to be a little bit easier on the end of the palate, not quite as dry, not quite as cloying, I'm going to change the way I brew it. I'm going to brew with a higher mash temp rather than put crystal in there, because I just find crystal just competes with hops, and there's a flavour to crystal. It's hard to explain, but I just find it offensive I do in these sort of beers, in hoppy beers. Give me a malty beer. I've got a Scottish ale we'll try later, boys, which I brewed, and it's got a lot of crystal in it. I love that beer because it's focused on malt. But when it comes to hops, I really struggle to find a good balance with crystal and hops. Maybe I'm just a shit brewer, but.
No, it's experience, and that's the thing. Is that the amazing thing with all beer ingredients is that you can make an infinite amount of things from even using the same ingredients. But like you say, you change the mash temperature, or you put a bit more of this one in, or you take a bit of this out. You play around with it, and you can do different things.
Yeah.
And that's what's cool, isn't it? So yeah, you could brew two beers the same, two different brewers, and they'll get to a different endpoint.
Yeah.
Or get to the same endpoint.
Look at this beer. Like they're using pretty well the same hops as what I use in my IPA. My IPA does not taste like that. It's different, different, maybe different flavour. This is a great beer. I think one's a good beer, but they're two completely different beers. And
they are really different.
Brewed with the same ingredients.
But it presents beautifully.
It does. It's a fantastic colour. I love that colour.
Actually, now that you've been talking about the equatorial thing, I'm actually looking at it going, I wouldn't mind putting something like that.
I reckon he went 2/3 north and 1/3 south.
There'd be bang.
I reckon he doesn't nailed it.
Yeah, that's perfect.
So,
perfect.
Should we write them a letter or just an email? You heard it here on Facebook first, the Equatorial IPA.
We could test that theory.
We could.
Do you want to go grab another one? Go get another stout.
You'll
actually have to go into the white wine fridge.
I know where I'm going.
Graham knows where he's going.
He does now. No, so do you want to do a quick sing along?
Sing along.
Yeah. Wonderwall.
We do a duet or something?
Alright.
I can't even think of it.
Yeah, you can't even think of it now, see? Would you like to swing on a star?
Not really, I don't know this one.
See, it's different generations having problems here.
I don't know if there's different generations. I think we probably
Dude,
just cross over.
I could be your father.
What's your generation?
Except I've met your mother. And there's no way she'd ever have to.
Probably would.
Oh! No, you want the south coast. The south, not the north.
Really good point.
We mix the north with the north. Let's just top it
Yeah,
up.
let's top it up with north. Yeah, that'll go down well. There you go. So that actually opens up a question. Can you blend beers together?
Yes, absolutely.
And what does that... I mean, obviously we're looking now to try and get a bit more fruit into this to try and create a different style, equatorial sort of style as such. But do you do that as a brewer? You go, I've got this, each lacks a little bit or something, or I want to combine it together, a limited release beer, or what's go? Why would you essentially?
Brewing sour beers.
Mm-hmm.
It's a massive thing with blending beers. Like you'll get a 1-year-old, a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, and you'll blend them together.
Yeah, right.
To get something that
We
you're
have
happy
2/3
with.
to the third. That's right.
Two-thirds.
I think a lot of the time.
Two-thirds North, 1/3 South.
I think a lot of the time blending comes with when they go, oh, I should have stuffed it up a little bit. I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, well, that's what I was sort of saying. Is there any way back from a beer that you've got an issue with?
Yeah,
Apart from
absolutely.
major
I think that's one of the things that I personally think makes a brewer when you stuff something up and you go, how can I save this? What can I do?
I'll give it a try.
And I think the better brewers can do that. Don't get me wrong, there's been plenty of times where I've brewed a beer and gone, no, you stuffed it up, Davey, and there's not much I can come back. But majority of the time, I think if you're a good brewer, you can do that. One of the best saves I've ever done was doing a sour beer, and I used a different culture to sour it. It massively ate the sugars and basically would have been about a 1.7% beer if I didn't do it. Mm-hmm. So I thought about it for a while, what I was going to do. Ended up brewing a regular saison and literally just blended the two together and brewed it with a Fajala, and it's still to this day one of the best beers I've ever done.
And you'll never be able to repeat it.
No, I can repeat it, but pain in the ass. Probably won't brew it again. I'll brew it differently.
And again, historically, brewers used to do. I can't remember what brewery it was. And I remember reading about a 19th century brewery where, so traditionally they would have brewed not just to sell as the brewery's beers, but to brew for the different pubs in the region.
Yeah.
And the different pubs all had their own blend.
Yeah.
But it was literally that way. So from 3 runnings from the same mash, they could make 25, 30 different beers.
Yeah.
Just by different combinations of those different 3 runnings and different hoppings and
Even to this day, like the big breweries still have, they'll still do one mash and get 3 beers off it, and they just blend it. I love that. It's like that's why I can never recreate my favourite English beers, because they blend them so much. But
because I knew in Lambics they blended beer, but I didn't realise it was such a common thing.
Yeah, especially with English beers, they'll do their export beers, and then they'll blend that with one of their light beers to get their regular better.
One of the flip sides of that though can be some of the micro breweries I've been to in the UK more recently. You go to the bar and they've got 6 different beers on. 2 of them are 3.7. One of them's 4.2, another one's 4. And they're all a slightly different colour. All kind of taste the same. And you have them all, and at the end of it you're kind of like, that one was probably my favourite. But nothing like coming to a microbrewery in Australia, I think, where you can go, okay, I have a wheat beer, and I have a porter, and I have an IPA, and have a real variety, which I think is a bit more exciting as a visiting experience and a taste experience, as opposed to a sit down and the beer's secondary to the atmosphere.
That's funny, because that's like, I think all of us as customers love that big experience. But like as a brewer, I get excited about going, I can make 5-6 beers out of this mash. especially as I can imagine a business owner be like, think of the profits.
That's a really good point.
But our beer drinking culture in Australia, from when I first started in hospitality, which is 28 years ago now, I've been drinking beer since I was about 5. We had a brewery in Rocky called Max, and Max Brewery in Rocky.
Yeah, right.
Okay. So what actually happened was every town had their own brewery, And then CUB and at the time Castlemaine both started buying up all the breweries and centralising all the brewing process. So we've seen all the little regional towns and all the towns suddenly have all the stuff centralised into, say, Brisbane or Yarra or wherever it was that they're brewing their beers. And now it seems to be going back the other way, like it's a circular thing where we now actually have, well, in town here we have Brew, down at Karoi you've got Copperhead, there's Ten Toes, there's Your Mates, they're everywhere, and they're just turning up all over the place. And it's really, really good because you're getting an experience, and because we're not just, Max only had I think one beer, so it brewed one beer consistently. But I've noticed that the beer drinking culture in Australia now has gone from, I drink a lager or I drink an ale, to now I drink a plethora of different beers. And that's really...
And it's, I mean, you know, that's an interesting thing, Davey. Is it 18 breweries on the Sunshine Coast?
Yeah, couple of exciting things with the Sunshine Coast Breweries currently. So Stalwart Brewing, who has been gypsy brewing out, somewhere south, I forget. They have now had a site. They will be opening hopefully in end of July in Nambour, in one of the old hotels there. And we also have a company that opened up a while back, it was 2014, but they're now, due to family circumstances, they shut down and they're now going to be reopening again. It's Coolum Beach Brewing Company, who will be, I'm not too sure how many beers they got on the go, but they're currently about to brew their first batch since 2014 and will be canning of that, hopefully, I believe, from Glasshouse Brewing Company, which will be a good thing.
So this is actually prompts a really dangerous question, and I'll get your feedback on it too, guys. Okay, Pat, here's the quiz for you. You're going to answer this one.
True.
No, that's Brendan's answer. At what point will there be saturation in the market?
I get asked this all the time, and I give this the same answer every time. If you look at our market, Australians market, or if you're like me, a bogan, and just call it Australia instead of the Oz. Our market right now, I think, is sitting at about 11 or 13% of beer drinkers drink craft beer. Look at New Zealand; they have the biggest craft beer market in the world. 50% of their beer drinkers drink craft beer. We've got a long way to go. We're not even close to what we can do.
But it's the conditions that the government create to some degree that can affect that, can't it? Like in the States, where any town you can go into it and buy a beer from there, and the beer's going to cost the same as the Budweiser, until I think we get the duty adjusted and it's an even playing field. I think it's going to be tricky for us to get that level of saturation. It is economically viable.
Definitely tricky. The one thing I think Australians do really badly at is we feel the need that we need to get our beer out to our nation. Whereas if you go to America and New Zealand as well, they do really well at having a brew pub and just selling their beer from the venue. They don't feel a need to spread their beer over the nation, which, I mean, as a brewer I'd love to do myself, but guess what, as a business thing, just sell it out of your venue. You can make an absolutely awesome living doing that.
And that's actually fairly true, because as a retailer I deal with 26 different companies for beers alone.
Yeah, that's painful, man.
That can be really, really painful. And a lot of them I actually say, look, if I find a hole and I find something of yours that's really good, I'll look at putting it in. And it is a kismet a lot of times, where they happen to turn up at the time that I need to get some limited releases in. And I go, have you got a whole bunch of limited releases? Beauty, I'll take those. Bang.
I don't know the name of the company, but someone has bought up a lot of, bought into a lot of Brisbane breweries recently, basically on...
Are you saying this, Ahi?
No. It's like an independent supplier, but they've bought in, and basically what they're selling is
a retailer.
Yeah. So we will buy in to your business, but we'll sell we can be there for you to do all your sales, to do the sales for you. So you don't have to deal with 24 different people or companies and stuff. So they can all be there and go, righto, we're just going to go through.
Well, so we've got one of the couple of big ones that I deal with. Dan Rickard from Caliber. He's got quite a good range of beer. Actually, a really good range of beer. There's a couple of breweries in there I'm just not particularly keen on, but he's actually changed. So, and it's a bit of a problem because see what happens is once you start building a market for those beers like he's done, then the brewery goes, we decide to go somewhere else and do it ourselves. And that really hurts a lot of people that do that. So they need a bit of that loyalty in there as well. Because they'll walk into someone like me who sell their beers here through him. And I go, we'll do this price for you and we'll do this for you. And so I go, okay. I'm one of the weird ones that'll ring up someone like that and go, hey, are you still trading with these guys? And you go, yes or no. So my relationship is with him, not with the brewery as such.
Yeah.
Other guys, there's a guy, Emerson, he does Ballistic and a whole bunch of other ones. He comes in and sells it to Trim as well. He comes in and actually sees me and talks about beers with me there.
I think that's the company.
Yeah.
He's involved with that.
Yeah,
company.
that's the one. Yeah, they've got a whole bunch of really good breweries in Brisbane. There's Tribe as well, who are Mornington Peninsula, Mornington Brewery, Wild, all those kind of ones. It's surprising. Whilst I do really, really enjoy Mornington beers, I've sort of been a previous issue that happened previously put me off ranging them quite regularly. But their limited releases are just awesome. Like we're going to be looking at one today, the Imperial Stout, and in fact we're looking at 2019 Imperial Stout today. But I've actually got a vertical of it.
So is that's the session beer, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a session 10.5%. Yeah, it's got to be that one.
So, but I mean that's interesting because what I've seen at Purple Palette in over 10 years is obviously massive changes, and breweries, or rather breweries' beers come and go. It doesn't mean that the breweries disappeared, but I suppose one of the challenges you've got, Andrew, is you need to keep people interested. And at the same time as keep the ones that people really want. So, I remember, Holgate was there for several years.
Yep.
And the Temptress and the ESB and stuff like that were beers that you kind of couldn't get rid of. But, slowly over time they fade away.
Well, actually, the reason, I'll use Temptress as a really good example. The rep who was selling that to me was a really awesome guy. He went on to go to Noisy Miner and Fortitude Brewing, and I don't know where he's gone from there. Dan, he was excellent. He was really good. Now, Holgate went from having a brilliant Temptress. The Temptress was phenomenally good.
Great beer.
And the ESB, and then all of a sudden the ESB became a limited release. The Temptress had no flavour.
No chocolate.
No chocolate at all. And of
the
course,
the road trip I go wasn't bad.
Yeah, the road trip was okay.
That was like their next phase.
Yeah.
I had to say, I talk about this. I have one of our locals who comes to the bar. And he always talks about Holgate. And I was just like, they're going nowhere. They went from this to like this. I was just like, but I like their beers. But just recently, they've released the Hazy IPA, and I went back and had the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
Those beers are fantastic.
But you know what? They've been around forever.
Not the Hazy. The Hazy's a new
No. Holgate have been around forever.
Holgate,
so my point is they were there in the early days.
Yeah.
I saw something recently. How many years? Is it 30 years they've been around? I think it's
been
around
a long time, man.
Because they've got the pub at Mount Massiven, and that they're not going anywhere.
No.
We just might see them appear to see them come and go. But I guess my point was going back to what you said about Dan. It's that relationship thing for you, because you need to have the good relationship with people who can give you lots of different beers, not necessarily with the brewery, because the breweries are gonna, their product's gonna vary, their things are gonna go in and out of fashion, but at the heart of the craft beer thing, I think that complicates it. There is this interest in new, there's a new thing, let's try the new thing. So I think that's probably what makes it a difficult way to serve. And I don't know, it'd be really interesting, and I hope it doesn't affect the industry badly, but how the whole COVID thing affects the way it all goes.
The next beer will be Brew limited release, their cherry sour. Now,
Is it smoky?
I remember the smoky.
Remember the smoky?
Yeah,
That's all right.
I thought that's what you were going to talk about earlier when you said about beers that go wrong.
no, it's not. So the other part is also, and this is no offence to any of my consumers and customers, and lovely people that they are. You're a bunch of ADHD children. You people have a tendency to go, oh, I love this beer, that's great, and then next minute it's, oh, this beer's good, and this beer's good. And look, retailers are the whores of liquor industry, really.
Andrew.
I am a whore. I have no problem with that at all. So we're the whore of the liquor industry. So we follow trends. So we have to get onto trends so quickly to make them worthwhile. Otherwise, it just doesn't happen. So hazies kicked in, Nippers. I think the New England IPAs kicked in first before they started calling them hazies all over the place. And we had to get onto that quickly. And I was a bit reticent because the early hazies were bloody terrible. And then out came two hazes that I think you brought me one and I think you brought me the other. And I went, oh, they're great. And now suddenly hazy is a big thing. And fruit beers were another one that were a real struggle for early part of craft beer movements.
Yeah.
And now they're everywhere. In fact, they now have hops mimicking the fruit flavours, as we have seen previously. And now we're going to add cherries into it. So this is Brouhaha's Cherry Sour.
Spritzy.
Spritzy. Well, it should be carbonated at least. It's got cherry to it, but I don't know if it's not a Krieg style. If that makes sense.
No, it's not. It's not sweet. It's not got that sweet.
Or even that dry Krieg that you can get.
Yeah, somewhere in between.
I like the tartness to this beer. It's one thing they always get right, I think, is their tartness. It's actually, it's not like overly tart, which I think some breweries go a little bit too crazy. But,
I think it's perfect. I like them a bit tartar. I like it, but there's some Belgians that I've
why
had.
don't you like me more then? I'm a bit tart.
You are quite tart. I'm not homosexual.
One night with me, mate.
Yes.
I've done a great. I've made great efforts to hide that fact over the years.
Look, for me, I actually like the body of it.
This is the next beer, David.
I like the body of it. It actually has a bit of palate weight to it for me. It does have some sort of, and I think I asked Benny this when I tried it. I said, "Oh, it's got lactose or something." He goes, "No."
Right, ask Benny that. Come on.
Well, but it's that yogurty flavour.
The lactose will give you a sweetness.
Yeah.
It's like the milk stout.
That's right. That's right. I thought it was just so it had that sort of heavy lactose.
But I noticed
feel that it's not though. It's
I noticed this as well with the strawberry and rhubarb. The last batch of the strawberry and rhubarb I had. Like I tried it. I was just like, it tastes yogurty to me.
Right.
Which I've never had before in any of their sours, but it came through. And I noticed also, same with this beer as opposed with the regular strawberry and rhubarb. You notice that this one's quite clear. The usual sours, they're like quite thick, almost like wheat beery. You can't see through them very much, and they've got that really like thick mouthfeel, which I love in a sour because otherwise it's just too dry. And I noticed it with the strawberry and rhubarb last time that I got it and it poured almost like that. Like there was
something's changed.
Yeah, something's changed there. I'm not sure what it is.
I was going to say actually, I really like the look of this.
I love the look of it. The look of that beer is a pretty beer.
I don't know, you put it's almost like got an inner shimmering thing going on, isn't it? I know the thinking.
Yeah, when I drink it though, like I get the tartness, which I think is a nice one. I'm not picking up too much cherry. It's there, but it's not massively. I get a quite a heavy wheat sort of aftertaste, which I don't dislike because I like wheat as a flavour anyway. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's like I'd definitely take the strawberry and rhubarb over this one any day. Personally.
For me, it actually tastes a bit like those cherry lollies. You get that cherry lolly sort of, but it does. It's not a huge amount of cherry. I was expecting a lot more cherry.
Yeah.
That being said, though, that what is there is flavourful enough to make it interesting. But the flavours are really simple, which is unusual for brouhaha because they usually get quite a few complex flavours into it. So I would like. Yeah, Dave's just thank you for telling which beer was next. And they get quite a bit of complexity. Actually, there's a real question for you. So making a beer costs X, I don't know, depending on what you're using, hop-wise and malt back and mash bill and all the rest of it. Fruit going into it, though, how much fruit do you put into a beer? Is there a ratio?
There's not a designated ratio. It goes on whatever, like palate-wise that a brewer likes. I personally put in probably twice as much as what most people do. I was trying to remember what ratio was. I can't remember. I'm not even going to give away brouhaha secrets anyway, what we used to put in there. But yeah, when I can tell you when I started doing my fruit beers, I added twice what they did, which I quite liked. I probably didn't leave it sit as long as what they do though.
So steeping is a really important part of it as well, is it? Or
Steeping?
you're getting the flavours out of it. You said you didn't leave it quite as long.
No, I didn't leave it quite as long because I wanted to get that beer out and on tap. So I'm basically rushing it through a little bit, but not really steeping. It's going to sit on the fermenter because you need the yeast to eat the sugars that you dump in with the fruit.
Yep.
But I always found there was like a sweet spot. Like you get to a point where you're like, no, you're tasting, you go, yep, that's the one. That's where I want that flavour. And I've always found that with any beer, if you get to a point where you're like, that's exactly how I want it to taste, and as long as that beer has finished fermenting, if that's exactly how you want it to taste, get it out of the fermenter now. Because leaving it sit on anything is only going to be detrimental afterwards. Like it's either going to, it could bring some a flavour in there you don't want afterwards, or you could add a little bit too much flavour and it becomes more about the fruit rather than the beer. So I'm really big on that. Taste the beer, and when it's exactly how you want it, just get it out. Don't let it sit there. Make sure you've got clean kegs or bottles or cans or whatever, and get it into bottles or cans, kegs, package it.
Actually, this is going to sound really silly because I know both you guys brew, but I don't. So, do you make the beer first and then add the fruit post, or do you add the fruit during the initial fermentation?
That's how you do it, doesn't it?
Contentious one. You knew this one. I always hear. I'm just going to go off like what I do and what I hear a lot of homebrewers do, which I hate. A lot of homebrewers, they always have this thing of we got to add it at the end of boil because we're going to make sure that it's sanitary and it's nothing's going to infect the beer. But to me, that's the worst put added in because what you're going to do there is you're going to lose so much flavour and you're going to cook the fruit, and so you can pasteurise your fruit, and a lot of fruit you can get that's already pasteurised anyway. So add it just before the end of fermentation. So when you're adding it to your fermenter, there's still CO2 being produced. So when you add it, you're not going to be introducing air as well. And I always find that you've got enough healthy yeast in there that it's going to clean up the sugars in the fruit. Not going to get you exploding bottles or kegs or whatever else, and you're going to get the maximum amount of flavour out of it doing that. Adding it to boil, I find you lose so much flavour. It's just ridiculous amounts of flavour you lose.
And so, and you might be omitting here as well that not only you pasteurise it, but you're putting in a juice. You're putting in a fruit juice. You aren't probably pasteurising whatever that fruit is, and you're not throwing all the seeds and all the skin and all that kind of stuff, and it's not like
it's not actually getting half of the cherries.
Yeah, I do that too. I do that too. So if I want to do it that way, literally, if someone walks up to me and goes, I don't know. Pick a fruit. Pick a bunch of grapes. Here's a bunch of grapes to put in a beer. Okay, what am I going to do with it? I need to pasteurize that. So what am I going to do? I'm going to mash it up or blend it up, whatever, and then I'm going to heat that up to. I do it to 80 degrees. I think you can get away with 60. Heat it up to 80 degrees for 10 minutes. You're not going to cook it. It's just going to be really fucking hot. After that, I put it in the fridge freezer to cool down. And once it's cooled down enough, below 30 degrees, I just dump it straight in. That fruit is now pasteurised.
Yeah.
That's it. It's an easy process. You can't really do that when you've got like a
So why?
5 hex system and you're trying to add.
So what about concentrates and essences?
Yeah, you can definitely do that. There's some great essence out there that you can use. That will give you the perceived flavour of a fruit.
Well, the only reason I say that is because in gin making, which I actually do know a bit about and do a bit of it, I actually had to do a sit-down tasting with essences versus naturals. So, and when you steep it or when you vaporise through it to get those different flavours, and I nailed out of 20 different things that one was natural, one wasn't. I got, I think, 8. I couldn't tell. I honestly couldn't tell. There was no chemical difference. There was no flavour profile difference for me. In fact, 2 of them tasted exactly the same. And I've got a good palate. Like I really do. I actually can taste things. But I was
going to
just
say, don't do this. Your palate.
No,
Andrew, you've got one of the best palates I've ever met. Let's be honest.
Jeffrey's asked a question.
Yep.
Remember, there's some people watching.
Oh, there are people watching.
What was the outcome of the Equatorial IPA blending?
Fantastic. I really enjoyed it. In fact, I preferred that to the North IPA. But then again, I preferred the Southern IPA to the Northern IPA.
From a visual thing, if I'd had those 2 beers put in front of me, I'd have absolutely gone for the Northern one every time.
Yep.
And I actually read a little bit online about people's preferences. Everyone preferred the Northern one. I prefer the Southern one.
Yeah, I preferred the Southern because I.
But I actually reckon the blend was probably.
The blend was good. The blend nailed it for me. It was perfect.
I'm with you on that, Graham. Yeah. Like actually, my preference was the Northern one, but the blend was just banging.
Oh, okay, that's
Absolutely.
cool. Yeah. So it brought us together.
Yeah.
Beer brings people together.
Yeah.
That's
Beer
true.
does bring
Bit
people
of funk
together.
it. And that's our thing, mate. Pushes my part very quickly.
Not me, mate. I'm like a big hugger.
He's a hugging drunk. That's good. That's why we don't drink rum.
And on that note, we will be doing a rum tasting at the end of next month. I love rum. It's awesome.
I do love rum.
It's rum. Actually, we're going to do some English Harbour as well.
Stop it.
English what?
English Harbour rum. From Antigua.
Harbour, as in like the Israeli stuff, which would seem a really strange thing to be doing, because in England they don't have much of it.
Really? Okay. Actually, I tried some Israeli wine just recently.
Israeli
Sweet.
wine.
Yeah.
Very sweet and citrusy. Like
Very sweet and quite unpleasant. But it was completely kosher.
I'm just totally guessing.
No. No, there's actually a dry style that they had. There were a couple of dry reds that they had. But they weren't just that standard classic Shiraz and Cabernet. Yeah. And I tried them and I was like...
interesting, because Shiraz is in the Middle East, isn't it?
The name of it is...
Are we not doing a beer tasting?
We are doing a beer tasting.
Sorry.
Yes, we're waiting for Graham to get the Imperial Stout out.
You can take me later.
Oh, sorry, I had that when you guys were talking. I didn't realise you knew that.
I thought you were driving there.
Actually, that's what we should have done some resistance to the Imperial Stout and see if it's cherry chocolate.
Yeah.
I suppose, so who's got the skills to open this? I just realised we don't actually have an opener.
Has anyone got a bottle
Yeah,
opener?
hold on. You can.
You guys got what?
Oh, this is the keys.
This is the keys.
We're in a bottle shop, but we don't open bottles.
No, we don't. It's rather embarrassing.
Tiny bit for me.
Only a tiny bit. There you go. Done.
I hate you.
You are.
You fucking asked for it.
You asked for it. I said only a tiny bit.
Tiny bit.
Okay, that's just madness in my book.
I like it. I'll have 2 tiny bits then.
Okay, I'll give you another tiny bit.
Just a tiny bit more. Up that way.
There you go.
This is a bit of a
That's about 3 times.
bit of a brew classic, isn't it?
Yeah. No, this is not. This is a brand newie. This is Mornington's Imperial Stout 2019.
2019.
Now, I do have a vertical of this, 2016, 17, 18 and 19.
Seriously?
Yep.
I reckon you should save that for our 10th birthday.
Oh, next year though.
Not that much, I mean.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
that's
probably
only
so.
6 months away.
Yeah, it's only 6. Oh, God, it's only 2.
Yeah, remember it's still 2020, but it's not March anymore.
They probably brewed this.
That one.
If you have just pulled this out of the esky, please let it warm up. It
Why did
really
we put
does.
that out there?
I have no idea. I had moments.
Yeah. Alright, well, we'll be back in half an hour once it's
Yeah,
warmed
well,
up.
see you soon.
That's chicory. That's straight out chicory. Chicory, cocoa.
Chicory Dickory Dock.
No, chicory, cocoa. Got some coffee. Yeah, got some coffee to it as well. Yeah, that espresso style coffee.
Oh man,
As opposed to the flat
Wow.
white.
That's pretty fun.
that's espresso basically.
Yeah, that is
It's an
straight out.
alcohol.
That is an espresso. I must admit, my favourite out of this. So I did a.
That's not. No, that's more. That's way more chicory than espresso.
Yeah, well,
That's like getting that bottle of
chicory that you poured over your ice cream.
Yeah, that's what
The
it is.
difference here is I've never had chicory.
Have
and
you?
I don't know why I would. I thought chicory was used as a coffee substitute.
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
That's what it's
So you're basically saying
That's what-
shit,
that's-
shit coffee.
It's just really sweet coffee.
Look, I actually tried. I actually did a vertical because I'm sad and I'm a human being by myself.
Just a
I'd love to hear from everyone, or anyone,
Anyone.
who's watching chicory or coffee. If you've got one of these at home, the Mornington, they should have one, shouldn't they?
Yeah, they do.
Are they allowed to? Or should they have them?
Should they have one? Did they not
Oh,
buy
yeah,
a packet?
I
They
don't know.
brought a packet,
I
yeah.
don't know, yeah. Chicory or coffee, what do you think? Or something else. Maybe you're going to say tiramisu. Drink
Same
full cans so we can keep up our heart. All right, fair enough.
Come on, Snowy, it's your friggin' birthday, mate. Happy birthday.
Congrats. How old are you?
The snowy dude.
12, 13, I think.
12
he
or
is.
13?
Yeah, I think he's only 12. Yeah. But yeah, look, I must admit, I have to say. And by the way, we have drunk all the cans. They're all empty. They're all gone.
The company's there or having a full can on their own.
Here they are.
Two of this one.
Just two of those. There you go.
Maybe they should use a straw.
We did tell you, Joel. You could have joined in.
There's some interlopers.
Yes.
So yeah, we'd
I
love
will
to
say
hear
that
if
when I did
sugar
this
coffee's
the
tasty.
vertical by myself, the 16 was stunningly good, and that's because it aged. It was you could see the same flavours. They've obviously done the same beer, but the actual aging in it, yeah, it was just amazing. And until you and I started talking about Cooper's Vintage, I would never have considered aging a beer because I've always seen best before dates. Even Cooper's with its best after date always used to go, yeah, right, yeah.
They're the best after.
Yeah, that's what happened. I think.
They have the best after dates.
But there's, I think I've got a 9 and a 10 and a 13 vintage in my fridge at home, but I'm pretty certain they're all going to be ruined. They're going to be ruined from when you have a power cut for 72 hours in the middle of summer and it just all warms up.
Let's go to Graham's next. Eh?
We're moving down to Graham's next. We'll see you there.
I'll give you the address, but he won't tell me.
I could give you the address and you still wouldn't find it. Honestly. He is trying to get to Graham's place. I'm driving along going, no. Alright, it's this. No, it's not this one. It's the next one. No. Oh, I've gone past it. Turn around. Come back. Every time.
Right, what does Pat reckon? Right, thanks. You're getting a smaller taste than Andrew. Yeah, no, that's intentional, Pat. I did actually wave to you yesterday morning as you drove past me on Steve Irwin Way, but you just ignored me, so...
I waved to you the other day too, but it turned out not to be your ute. So
yeah, I know. That happens to me every now and then. I'll see one of those utes and I might be in Warwick or somewhere and I'll still think it's going to be Pat. Just someone with the same ute.
I was actually in Maleny, driving along Macadamia Drive. I was just like, it has to be Pat. And I was like, oh no, it's not.
So you actually attract the attention of a serial killer, is what you're saying?
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
Oh, that way you
At least I'll go out
hallucinate
in style.
Yeah.
Jesus. I'll be known. I'll be like one of those podcasts that people do.
That's a
Daisy.
good idea. What happened to
Davey
Davey
Stabler.
Stabler?
Not a lot.
Was it first 48? No, he's gone.
Davey Stabler and the Ute Mystery. Yeah.
Look, I will say, as I said, Mornington Brewery, I have actually really enjoyed their beers. Their standard range has never really thrilled me. Their porter's always been really good, but their limited release range has this particularly has been a real find for me. And that's a really weird part. Like I've had a big bent against a lot of big breweries for quite a while because they're everywhere. Everyone can buy them. I'm trying to find something different and interesting for people. And Mountain Goat.
There's not very many small breweries around there.
No, not that canning can sell.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I'll give you that
So
one.
how's your canning going?
Well, we bottle now.
Yeah, exactly. Do you sell it to anyone? Apart from
Not to the
customers?
likes of you.
There you go.
No, we don't sell to the man.
Hell,
We
but
just tease people.
people like Mountain Goat have done really good limited releases, and they continue to do really good limited releases. Now Asahi has bought, who own Mountain Goat, they now bought Green Beacon, and now CUB, including Pirate Life and Four Pines. I don't know what the hell's going to happen.
What's next?
Yeah, what is next?
In a post-COVID or
Just in a
maybe
post-Asahi world,
post-COVID
really.
or Post-Asahi. It's a tricky one, isn't it?
Well, we can all go to 20-litre kegs like Asahi do.
And then charge the same amount. 50
That's what we're doing.
That's what we're going to do.
Smaller packages.
So, what's the
Only Coopers.
what is the verdict on this one, then, guys?
I actually pick up a bit of oxidation in that.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not getting that.
Yeah.
But then any bottle... Oh, hang on the nose only. But any bottled beer that I have now, I'm so used to canned beer, I almost always get some oxidation on them.
I get it big time.
Actually, hold on.
Smell that and I go, yep, it's oxidation.
Have a quick
I've got-
discussion about canned
But
versus bottle. I'll be right back.
on a stout, I sort of don't mind a little bit of oxidation. I almost feel like it adds to the imperial.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
I know it's not
especially
purist.
No, absolutely no. If you're going an imperial stout, especially if you're going to barrel age an imperial stout, you're going to get oxidation, and it almost helps that beer taste better.
Yeah, it's a part of that flavour profile, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't know what wet cardboard is often called the oxidation smell. I say sherry, and I don't know why, because I don't really know what sherry smells like, but it's what I imagine sherry smells like. It's really hard to explain.
Have you smelled wet cardboard? That's what it smells like.
I don't know. I've never smelled. Why would I smell wet cardboard?
It has a sherry. Has
How do
this
you
like
explain
I don't know. I kind of just explain it as having. If you try that beer, you smell it. It kind of has a more alcoholic sort of smell, almost, but not like a extreme alcohol. It's like it almost belongs there. But like kind of like if someone dropped a shot of whiskey in your beer.
Okay, yeah, that's probably a good way.
Oh, that's a good thing. I like a shot of whiskey in the
Shot
beer.
of whiskey in the beer.
What's that called? A Boilermaker or something?
We heavy.
We heavy.
Wee
Maybe that's a
heavy
beer,
is a type
mate.
of Scottish beer, yeah.
Usually it's
Not
Scotch
not very wee heavy, which was David's 3.7. What was that? Scotch ale.
Scottish light ale.
Scotch ale. That's the one. The one they didn't.
Well, I have to say that's a ripper of beer.
So my question to Andrew then was, if I was to offer you a Moa Imperial Stout or a Mornington Imperial Stout, which one would you go for?
Look, and I'm going to be dead set honest. Moa. I've loved Moa, and I always have. It's just unfortunately Moa doesn't import into Australia anymore.
Wow.
Hang on. When did this happen? Because that means the Moa Imperial Stout that's at Karoi, Lickland, must be fucking old.
Yeah, maybe they stopped last night.
Look, so my rep was a guy called Darryl Tuffy, was very hard.
Darryl Tuffy, the cricketer.
Yeah, cricketer. He actually was nearly impossible to get hold of, and I've tried 20 different ways from Sunday to get hold of him. So I ended up going directly to the company in Moa, and they were sending stuff over to me. Like I'm ordering 20 and 30 cartons at a time. It's not like an insignificant amount to send over. And then they turned around and said, I said, when's your next release of Imperial Stout? And they said, we've had a restructuring of management. we will let you know when we are coming back into Australia.
Right.
Now, whether or not they've got sick of me ordering nothing but their reserve range, because really that's what I wanted from them. Their standard range was okay, but it wasn't fantastic. Their reserve range was stunning.
I went.
Did a few of those beers recently, haven't we?
Yeah.
I went to the brewery
Mm-hmm.
in Blenheim,
Yep.
and I was actually served by the owner, and he seemed like the most uninterested bloke that I've
Is that
ever
not
met.
Josh, is it? No, Josh isn't the owner anymore. It's been bought by consortium.
Right.
It's been bought by consortium.
Well, that was probably like 3 years ago, so it probably still would have been John.
Would have been Josh. Yeah.
Yeah. He was so uninterested. Like, I just wanted to talk to him about something, anything. I'd be like, I didn't care if it was beer. Just talk about the.
Maybe it was just you. Maybe he's like a really great guy, and then he met you, and he was like, I'm not sure about this fella.
Are you fucking
Why is he trying to talk to me all the time?
But the thing was, like, I went there and I tried everything they had on tap.
He didn't sell it.
No, he didn't sell it, and I tried everything on tap, and I was just like, these are pretty average beers.
Yeah.
So I went to beers that I know that were okay by him, which were in the fridge in bottles. And then I was just sitting there, I'm not enjoying the experience, and I didn't enjoy the beers. And I guess that is kind of being reflected in the...
Makes a big difference.
Yeah.
When we travelled around WA, when we went to Brew, Matt So's pulled the stops out.
Mm-hmm.
We got 3 nights accommodation for free. They gave us lunch. They were just so nice to us.
Yeah.
You couldn't not like anything.
Yeah.
You know, like it was impossible to not like it. When we went down to Margaret River, some of the places were okay, but Colonial and Duckstein pulled the stops out. They looked after us. They gave us a t-shirt. You know, like they really wanted us to have a good time. And yeah, Bootleg Ella got to put the hops in, the final hops in for the Raging Bull.
Nice.
Yeah. And Michael Brooks, all he went on about, this was their 15th anniversary, all he went on about the whole time we were there was Stone Brewing. He loved Stone Brewing. He was showing us all the empty bottles he had from Stone. He'd been San Diego and he brought all this stuff back. And I'm like, yeah, but what about your brewery? But they were just so nice to us. You couldn't help but have fun.
What's Jeff say?
If Moa is not something, it doesn't help having white.
It's not available, then that's a huge loss. They make great beers, but I have to disagree with Andrew.
Yeah.
The Mornington Imperial Stout is fantastic. Is that not what Andrew just said?
I just said it was fantastic, but I just thought...
But he said he thought the
Moa was better.
Jeffrey's saying he thinks the Mornington...
Because I'm actually... By the way, just to give you a quick heads up, I drink between 30 to 40 different
Imperial
wines,
stouts
beers and spirits a week. So my memory of Moa is always... And actually, I can tell you why. No, I can tell you why I think Moa's better. That was chicory. It's sweeter. It seems to be, for me, it wasn't quite as espresso coffee as Moa was. And it didn't have the complexity of Moa. It didn't have the roundness of character that I see in Moa. And Moa actually has espresso coffee, chocolate and mocha flavours in there as well. So, distinct ones. This one has got chicory, cocoa, not so, and espresso coffee, but not to the level of Moa. So that's my thing, is that is why I preferred Moa. And in fact, I really, really like it. I was gutted when I couldn't get Moa. But that being said, though, I moved on from Moa, and then we've got Insel Brewery, which is the German craft brewery that I decided to get in. That's been really good, but of course...
German craft breweries that have to follow the laws.
No, and, well, they don't.
So, on the way down the gauntlet, Andrew,
Yes.
I reckon we should do when we're allowed to gather
together
again,
again.
hopefully in this winter, I reckon we should try and do an Imperial Stout brew crew. And one of the
It
things...
may be a little bit more expensive than a normal brew.
It may be, but one of the reasons is, when you're talking through the rounded stout, the Imperial Stout that basically relaunched Imperial Stout was the Samuel Smith's one.
Yep.
Back in the early mid-80s. So it was a style that had disappeared. And
That's when I was born.
yeah, arguably. And they said it was the Americans basically wanted to try this thing that apparently had existed. This is the story anyway. And Sam Smith brought out this Imperial Stout. Now I've done beer tasting with it, but not for ages. The corporate ones, and it's just amazing. But it's 7.5%. Which we don't think is an Imperial Stout.
It's not even close.
Yeah. No.
That's a foreign stout.
That's
Yeah.
no, but it wasn't. It was an Imperial Stout. It was based on a recipe for Imperial Stout. And when you have it, it is like having a fruitcake. It's incredible. It's absolutely amazing. And it was considered an extremely strong beer. But, and this is what we were saying, so the same with Anchor, when they had, Sierra Nevada? No, Anchor. When Anchor brought out their Pale Ale in the late 78 or something, it was an IPA. And it long since changed to a Pale Ale.
Yeah.
Because that's what the IPA was apparently like. But everything gets pushed further and further and further and further, you know? Like
I have noticed that. Like, I mean, let's face it, there are beers out there, there are breweries out there that try and produce the highest alcohol beer. Sink the Bismarck.
Yeah.
And there's 28 different breweries that are battling for the top beer, and some of these are higher than my cask strength spirits. So obviously it's a thing. It's
pushing boundaries, and once you've tried an 8% stout, but then an 8% black IPA comes along, or an 8% double IPA comes along, then you can't really say, that's not, like Davey said, that's not Imperial Stout. We don't think of that as Imperial Stout, but it'd be interesting to try some Imperial Stouts starting towards the lower end of the range and pushing up to something 13%.
But it's not something we could do for an online brew crew, because I mean you'd be paying like $80 or $100 for your thing. 5 beers, okay.
Anyway, it'd be fun to do as part of.
That'd be good.
If you could try, if you can get, because you've had Sam Smith here before. I know you've.
I've got Sam Smith here now.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So if you could get some of the Imperial Stout, it'd be pretty interesting to try.
Try and find. Sourcing it, an Imperial Stout is a very limited release that comes out once a year. It's not something they do regularly, and to get it to Australia is quite difficult. But I do get an option for it once a year when they do brew it, so I can get that.
Oh, that'd be great.
That'd be good. I might try that.
There you go. I know my memory is of it being a spectacular beer.
Yeah.
That can be dangerous sometimes.
Depending on what's happening.
I was going to say.
It's 21. I was in the nightclub. Best beer I've had.
That's not one yet.
So I was going to say the next. Like, we've got a change of restrictions as of the 12th.
As of tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
1st of June. 1st of June, midday, they suddenly brought it forward, I think.
Oh, they brought it forward, okay.
We can travel anywhere in Queensland and various
Really?
things. Yeah, as of tomorrow. But
yes.
whether that affects all of the things that
we can only have up to 20 people.
Yeah, it was 20.
So therefore we probably will be doing an online brew crew for next month. I was looking at pale ales, looking at a pale ale, an IPA, a double IPA, a hazy IPA, and
session.
You can just shut the. There is no such thing as a session IPA. I don't care what you say. 3.5% is not an IPA.
I think it's just a smelly mid-strength.
It's a smelly mid-strength. And I can't remember. There was 5 IPAs. Aromatic IPA.
Red IPA.
Red IPA.
Black IPA.
Yeah, I think black IPA is brilliant.
Brown IPA. When was the last time anyone saw a brown IPA? I love those beers.
Actually, I have a question, and this is a serious one.
What's the difference between
a brown IPA and an amber?
And an American brown ale.
What?
An amber ale and a brown IPA. A brown ale. Sorry, brown ale. What's the difference?
American IPA, so it's same as like a pale ale.
No, not IPA, just a brown and an amber. What's the difference?
Oh, brown and an amber?
Yeah.
Pretty bloody similar. That's literally the same thing. It's just like.
Strictly speaking, amber's got a little bit of orange in it, hasn't it, as a colour, whereas I would say a brown is a bit browner.
So I actually have a restaurant come to me. They want a brown, and I said okay, but here's a couple of ambers that have been produced by people. No, I want a brown. So literally, he's just working off the name, I'm guessing. So there is no differentiation between amber and brown?
It comes back to that style guide again, doesn't it? Or rather the way a brewery decides. You could buy one brewery's amber ale, another brewery's brown ale, pour them out, and the amber ale could be darker than the brown ale.
I think originally amber ale is probably a bit more hoppy than your brown ale.
Yeah, potentially. Like
Yeah.
a Southern Brown Ale
Yeah.
in the UK, when they first came out, they were intentionally, like a mild, almost like a mild actually.
Yeah.
Like a mild brown, not very high strength. And
Jeffrey-
American Brown Ale is almost an IPA
with colour, yeah. So
maybe not eight beers. Yeah.
what's that? No, agreed. Bring on.
What did that?
That's an yeah. Bring on stout only.
Stout only
Oh,
brew.
okay. That's our Fear of the Dark month.
Yeah. We always
What's
do
that?
July normally.
It's July,
Like,
isn't it?
as
Yeah.
wintry as we can
So
get.
that's next month.
quick that it's
So that's not next month. It's a month after.
A month after.
Yeah.
End of
So we will be doing Fear the Dark, and it will be dark beers, all porters and stouts.
somewhere, somehow.
Somehow. Yeah, well, we will be doing it somehow. Because let's face it, drinking beer is one of those things that we really
It's not
enjoy
gonna
doing.
stop, is it?
But on that note, I think it's probably time to start drinking some of those beers that we brought up to try.
Oh yeah, there's a few in the fridge. That,
I think that's a great idea. I think we should do that. I don't know if we should do that on camera, because that would really make you people feel really...
This can't be
We
done.
can just leave cut it and leave it rolling.
That's true. Well, hit finish and then start it again and we'll go get the beers.
I like that.
I like that idea.
You sure ready?
Thanks.
Have a good one.